My name is Don K. Preston. I am the president of Preterist Research Institute of Ardmore, Oklahoma. Well, we've been talking about the resurrection of 1 Corinthians 15 as it directly relates to, is directly parallel with Romans chapter 8. That's been our focus, Romans 8. I've shared with you that Paul's motif of the then present martyrdom versus the coming imminent vindication and glorification of those first century saints. And, by the way, I just really appreciate your kind remarks that have been sent to me privately in regard to this. There's an awful lot of controversy, obviously, about the body. Because Paul in Romans 8 and Paul in 1 Corinthians 15 is talking about the body. Well, let me tell you something. We cannot take Paul's discussion of the redemption of the body, whatever he might mean by that, all right? We cannot take that discussion outside of and as opposed to his discussion of what? Martyrdom and the promise of imminent vindication. And as I have shared with you over and over and over again, the New Testament is emphatic, it is explicit, it is undeniable in putting that resurrection firmly in the context of the imminent coming of the Lord, the imminent judgment, and the imminent resurrection to vindicate the suffering and the martyrdom of those first century saints. That's creating to create a doctrine of the resurrection of the body, separate and apart from the doctrine of the vindication of the martyrs of those first century saints, is to create a dichotomy that is unknown in the Bible. That is eisegesis, it is not exegesis. And it is, in fact, a distortion and a perversion of the biblical truth. Now, that's a powerful statement, but I will stand by that. It is absolutely true. Well, we are told, well, wait a minute. In Romans chapter 8, and by the way, that wait a minute is generally in a tacit admission of what I just said. It's like, well, yeah, okay, but. And I refer to it as yeah, buts. Because a person is essentially trapped with the power and with the irrefutability of the argument concerning suffering, martyrdom, and the coming imminent vindication. And so they kind of shove that aside by going, yeah, but. Yes, but. And by that they are saying, well, I know that what you said has validity, and I don't know how to answer that. So let me bring up something else, hopefully that you can't answer. Well, let's look at one of these yeah buts. We are told in Romans chapter 8, where Paul says, the earnest expectation of the creation eagerly awaits for the revealing of the sons of God. Now, first of all, and remember, this Romans 8 is 1 Corinthians 15. So whatever Romans 8 is talking about, it's talking about the resurrection of 1 Corinthians 15. There are just so few commentators who deny that. Okay, the earnest expectation of the creation eagerly awaits. Now look, I've pointed this out before. Let me emphasize it. These are two extremely powerful time indicators. The earnest expectation is apokaradokia. And it means that it conveys the word picture of standing on tiptoe with neck outstretched looking. Folks, that word indicates imminence. A strong sense of expectation. And then he says, eagerly awaits. Well, that's apekdekomai. And that means an expectant looking for. If somebody tells you they're going to be at your house sometime next week, then you are, quote, looking for them. You are expecting to see them next week And thus, when Jesus said that he was going to come on the clouds of heaven with power and great glory, in that generation, they had a right to expectantly look for him. And they could eagerly await him. That is the sense of those two words. But the real question and the force of the Yabut is, well, look, Paul's talking about the creation. Okay, what is their creation? Is Paul talking about our biological bodies? Well, if Paul is referring to that, it has to be demonstrated. What about the word creation? What in the world is creation? Well, we're going to be taking a look at that. I'm going to share some things with you that are extremely important. Some say, and a majority view, I guess one could say, is that the word creation in Romans 8, that the creation was eagerly looking for redemption. That's the entire physical creation. And thus we are told that at the second coming, what do we have? The restoration of all things spoken of by all of the prophets who have ever spoken. So we are told that one of these days, at the resurrection, there's going to be a recreation, a restoration of the entire creation. Physical creation. But is that what the Bible teaches? And I affirm it is not. So hopefully you have something to look forward to. In the meantime, I want to urge you to get a copy of the book, Revelation Realized, in which Sam Dawson covers this theme and this motif of martyrdom and suffering and the day of the Lord, judgment and resurrection. I've shared it with you before. Go to my website, donkpreston.com, BibleProphecy.com, and order the book, Revelation Realized by Sam Dawson. All right, we're going to look at what is the creation of Romans 8:19 and following, and we'll do that on the flip side.